Pre-season testing. It's F1 fans' favourite time of year, as a few diehards flock their way to Barcelona to enjoy some affordable, accessible F1 action. What? Who's that? What do you mean it's not Barcelona? Well, what have you done that for? Ah, money. Right. Sorry. Pre-season testing, a time of year where F1 fans across the globe log in to F1 TV to watch their favourite drivers, unless you're a Stroll fan, drive around pointlessly for days on end. And we absolutely love it. But compared to the 2022 testing schedule and format, this year looks a little different. The first and by far most obvious change is that we aren't going to Barcelona this year. Instead, we are straight to Bahrain, which is the sole testing venue for the season, and also the first race. And as someone who complains that Barcelona testing was way too close to the Barcelona race, this does annoy me. Quite a lot. But the teams will love it because it means loads of data that is instantly relevant to the first race of the season. But also means if you turn up to testing and the car's awful, you may as well pack up early and admit you're going to have an awful first race, because the turnaround time is way too tight to get any meaningful track-related upgrades onto the car. So maybe we can debate if it's a good or bad thing having the test track as round one of the season, but that's not the point of this video at least. So let's start out with the format. Normally the format is set out as 8 hours of on-track running per day, split over 2 sessions, with 4 hours in each session. In 2023, we will see 8.5 hours of running on each day, with a new additional 30 minutes added onto the end of the afternoon session. This extra half an hour gives us much more representative conditions relative to what we'll see in the Grand Prix as the sun sets. This does also allow for some sneaky, more representative quali sims at the end of the day, which I never complain about, as someone going for a glory run always makes the grid seem more competitive than it actually is, and I'm just a sucker for some false hope. In 2022, with the radically changed cars, we saw 24 hours of testing in Barcelona. For some reason I decided to stream all of it in my uni accommodation, which was fun. Then in Bahrain we saw a further 24 hours of track action. So in total we got 48 hours of running. This is being reduced in 2023 to 25.5 hours. This is a reduction of around 47%. Obviously, there is no radical regulation change this season, but that's not to say the cars haven't changed. The FIA decided, amid the huge drama surrounding porpoising in the 2022 season, that they had to do something about it. So for 2023, we are seeing, and this is as the most major technical change, we will cover the sporting changes to the regulations closer to the first race. We are seeing 4 main changes on the cars, with the goal of reducing porpoising. The first is raising the floor edges by 15mm. The diffuser throat height has also been raised. The diffuser edge stiffness has been increased, and that's obviously a big one when your main problem is bouncing cars. And finally, there is an additional sensor aimed at monitoring the oscillations from porpoising. Now, cool. Porpoising is fixed, right? Well, yes, probably. But this has a massive impact on the cars. Have you wondered why the cars were running so low in the first place? Well, it gives you a lower centre of gravity helping out through the corners, but also made the ground effect design of these new 2022 cars perform much more efficiently. And with the increase in the ground clearance in many vital parts of the ground effect package for 2023, we will likely see a shift in downforce production, slightly move away from the floor, and move more towards the wings and bodywork, especially the side pods. Hence why we're seeing such significant differences between cars. Overall, I'm a fan of these changes. I feel the FIA overreacted in implementing them, but I prefer the main downforce production to come from the more visible areas of the car, making it much easier to see changes in approach race by race, but also making the cars all look that little bit different as each team tries different things. And as for the reduced running, I've just explained why there are still some fairly fundamental changes. Obviously, like I say, we're seeing more downforce coming from the bodywork, but really in 25.5 hours of running, the teams should probably get that done. Obviously, I'm a little bit annoyed that we are just getting less track action. It's just, I'm an F1 fan. I want to see these cars on track. I want to see them be developed. I want to see all these different parts. That sucks, but we've got 23 races for all of this year, so I'll get over it. Normally in testing, we see a wet tyre run as well on an artificially dampened track. assuming it hasn't rained. I don't believe this is going to happen. It's unconfirmed either way in the Bahrain testing this year. The temperatures are likely to just be too high for there to be any meaningful data from these runs, unlike in a cold Barcelona at the end of winter where the water will hang around much longer. But really, these are the biggest changes for this year's testing campaign, and tomorrow we will take a look at what exactly to look out for in the pre-season tests themselves. As, trust me, we might actually get a fair amount of knowledge out of this test, as long as we can predict the key talking points of the year and identify what is and maybe isn't working well. And hopefully I'll be able to give you guys some of those insights in that video. So make sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell, because if you want a heads up on your F1 fantasy campaign or want to impress your friends with superior prediction skills, that video could be for you. But guys, as ever, have a great day, and until next time, goodbye.